Right, I am out here on a Sunday, beautiful golden light Sunday on the Chama River near Tierra Amarilla, New Mexico. About an hour and a half drive from home. And, as I always talk about, I go down to the waters in order to help reset and to ground myself. And, excuse me, today it's been been a lot of energy recently. Since the last video that I made, which was a few weeks ago, I think, since then I've kind of gone through a cleanse myself, served myself a couple of different medicines, big plant medicines, gained a lot of clarity, cleared up my field significantly. There was a lot going on there. I needed to defrag quite a bit of my energy body. Lots of noise that had been picked up, lots of other energies, other people's energies, other energies out of the collective. And when I come to places like this is like a way, for me, for you, for everybody to be able to also clear those kinds of energies because, the being in the natural environment here, this is like super sweet, the river, here's the Chama River. I've made friends with a guy that's a rancher over here and where I can get access onto his land, which is amazing, but I'm on the public area today. Anyhow, I stepped down to this environment in order to help reset myself. And I hadn't really had a real day to myself in the last couple of weeks. So had brunch with a friend who I found out was in town this morning, and then stepped out into the wilderness. And and just kind of reflecting on some recent conversations and the state of affairs, right? And we've been talking about, I've been writing about in my newsletter for years about the phase shift, that we are in the phase shift, which is essentially the ascension. It's the shift in the baseline frequency of our civilization from a 3D, 4D level into that so-called 5D. But it's not about like dimensions. I look at it really about like resonance fields, and when we open ourselves into these higher states of existence and consciousness, we access all sorts of new energy, and by being in that field, energies that are of a lower vibration, of a lower density, old pain, regret, hatred, anger, frustration, old trauma, unresolved energies out of the past that we're ashamed of, or any of these kinds of things. Those energies are existing at a lower frequency, and as we're moving through this moment, the more that we get embodied into this other frequency, the higher frequency, the more that those types of distortions then get vibrated up to the surface and then released out of our field as we are present with what shows up, hopefully. If we find ourselves having continually repeated certain patterns, and now is the moment where we're like, oh my God, I just saw my behavior for the first time ever, and you're like, oh my God, that was like hiding in a blind spot. That's part of the process right now. And what I was thinking about is, in these conversations I've had recently, talking about how those energies are all coming up, and a really big way right now that those energies are showing up is through what I call polarity reflection, where the energy that we are observing maybe within the society at large is polarized to where we want our frequency to be, and it creates energetic strife. It creates discordance. And this control structure that is being dismantled right now, what I call the system of control, the way in which the system of control continues to negatively impact us is to hook us hook us with these lower vibrational energies, and then we have nanotech, we have parasites, we have programming, like literal mind control programming that is broadcast to us. And if we are impacted by those energies and kind of go along with those energies, what ends up happening then is that it's like it'll create this polarization. It creates this energy, this like intensity that's under the surface, and this system of control and all of the minions of the system of control, whether it's demonic energies and like hitchhiker energies, parasite energies, or like human people energy that are human behavior that's been infiltrated, those, what the system of control wants is it wants our engagement. It wants us to get triggered. It wants us to get angry. It wants us to feel that we're facing a gross injustice. It wants us to feel victimized, especially because when we're in that place of feeling like we're a victim, we're literally handing over our sovereign consent that that the circumstances of our life are so outside of ourselves that we're like a leaf floating on the river, going wherever that current may push us. And in the case of these, the intentionality of the system of control is to create polarization and to further the divide, to further the illusion of separation from the one prime creator, from the source of all life that isn't just like at the center of our galaxy or at the center, of all creation. It's like it's literally vibrating in resonance inside every single cell in our body, inside every atom. And so it's like that one prime creator is us. It is within us. We are individuated expressions of a unified field of consciousness that has many bandwidths, maybe infinite bandwidths of frequency. And the only way to be able then to hijack our ability to be divine creator God beings is to make us believe that we are, powerless to these things. It's also to make us unaware of these types of distortions and infiltrations. And so we go about our lives, watching our sports and talking at the water cooler and, going out for Cosmos or glasses of wine with the girlfriends or whatever, and like further perpetuating all these frequencies. And we're hooked, and we're unconsciously expressing, we're unconsciously going where the herd is being guided. And so this moment that we're in it's begging for us to remember who we are. And luckily we have the entire weight of this galaxy, the whole weight of the universe, the whole attention of the universe that is observing our civilization move through this phase shift. So we have all of this presence of energy behind us at our backs. It's got our back. It's like strength, like the 9 of Wands and the Tarot. It's that strength, that deep well within us that can see us through in spite of any apparent obstacle or challenge. And this is where we find ourselves now in this moment, where if we can step back and we can disengage from these energies that are being cultivated to drive us and pit us against each other, where we think that our perspective is just and that the other perspective is evil, and we see these energies, and what we need to do right now is we need to step out of all of those dynamics, because all of them are distortions of the truth. They all lead us away from who we are individually and who we are as the human race, humanity on Earth. And as we move through this moment and we transit these challenges that are in front of us, and if we're able to maintain that sense of sovereignty, that sense of objective evaluation of like where we attune our conscious awareness into, and if we're able to do that, then I think that it's going to be a more harmonious transit through the moment. And on the other side, as we all emerge on the other side, then it's like we've already laid down the baseline frequency of the world that we want to inhabit and to create. And we need to starve the beast, you know? It's like the beast is feeding off of our energy. It's feeding off of the animosity. It's feeding off of the fear, all these things. And we need to starve that beast. We need to be impeccable with our energy, you know? Be ruthless with our energy. Not ruthless as in cruelty, but like ruthless in, you know, the Don Juan sense of ruthlessness, to be so energetically efficient that we can make decisions about where we engage our energy, where we attune our field, and that we don't attune it into energies that are going to bring us down. You know, we don't engage in behaviors or with people that are going to drop our frequency and pull us into these mind control programs. And I mean, we're at the end. You know, this is the end game right now. We're very close to this whole situation really rising into the conscious awareness of every human being in the world. You know, we are moving through a moment as a civilization, and we will rise out of it. So this isn't the time to engage the fear. We don't need to be worried. We need to attune ourselves and focus on that life and that frequency that we wish to create. And if we can do that, amazing things are en route. This is the moment that we all came here for, you know? This is the moment that it is our destiny to transit this moment successfully. It's already been done at all the higher realms. The last realm to move is this 3D material world, which will shift into a 5D material world, you know, a higher frequency material world, and rearrangement of our civilization. And then we get to meet our neighbors. Anyhow, I get excited about the neighbors. Thanks. I'm going to cut this short. I'm going to get back on the road and go home so that I can enjoy the beautiful late summer, early autumn colors, because today is the equinox, I believe, and it's a blood moon eclipse. So a new moon and an equinox and an eclipse all fallen together. So this is a powerful moment for us to focus our intention and to create a unified field that is bringing into manifestation all that we dreamed into being when we came into this world. All right. Catch you all later.